Been one of the biggest stories since last night. Perhaps you weren't with us last night with Sally Burdett. Former Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse has resigned from her position as a councillor, stepping down another notch. She's intending instead, and we're going to talk about this, in returning to the medical profession. Let's not forget, it is Dr. Mpho Phalatse, medical doctor. Phalatse is serving as a health and social development MMC. This is going back a bit, I remember this, between 2016 and 2019. Yes, then the big focus was 2021, becoming the first black female mayor of the City of Gold. That was a little bit messy, I think, if we're being honest. Let's just talk about the next step for Dr. Mpho Phalatse joining us this morning. And appreciate the time. And I'm seeing a smile on your face. Is that the smile of someone who is walking away from the messy world of politics? Doctor, good morning.
I'm excited to be moving into a professional space. That's really what it is. I've missed that. Council has become a circus. I've waited 7 months since my ousting to see if it's the kind of space I want to spend the rest of the term in. Remember, this is a 5-year term. We still have in excess of 3 years remaining. And I worry about myself as a professional. I'd like to go to a place where I can hone my skills and preserve the professional in me. 3 years is a long time.
I think many people might not know. We're going to talk the politics in a second, Doctor. I'm sure you wouldn't mind just sharing what type of medical doctor are you? I feel like I asked that very badly, but what type of medical doctor are you?
Well, my career has been quite different at different times. I'm a GP, first of all. I've worked in sort of GP practice. I've done emergency medicine and casualty. I specialized in public health medicine, which is public administration with a focus on healthcare. I've done medical legal work, focusing on sexual assaults and gender-based violence and so on. So I've done various things, but the business I ran before I went into medicine was mainly in disability medicine, where I had contracts with SASSA. I'm also a certified independent medical examiner with the American Board of Independent Medical Examiners, which is also focusing on impairment.
I don't think a lot of people knew that, because everyone knows you as the politician, of course. That's where the spotlight was firmly on you. I've got a tweet here, and maybe you can just help answer the question. It is from Humbalani Madao, sending me a tweet. It's at Gareth Edwards essay, saying, morning, Gareth. Please can you ask Dr. Phalatse if she's willing to go back to politics should the need arise? But you're not leaving the DA. You're just no longer a councillor. Is that correct? Just clarify. Exactly. I think there's a lot of confusion. Just clarify for us.
Thank you for that, Gareth. Yes, there is a lot of confusion. So I remain a member of the Democratic Alliance. In as far as my work or my day-to-day work is concerned, I'm going back into medicine. In the DA or in any other political party, you've got public reps and you've got activists and you've got supporters. You've got people contributing in various roles. And I've been a public rep since 2016, and I'm stepping down from that role. I have not resigned from the Democratic Alliance. And yes, should an opportunity arise for me to serve, that makes sense for me to serve, I will certainly take it up.
So what was the moment you made this decision? Obviously, the Joburg mayorship was these coalitions, and if we had time, Doctor, you and I could discuss coalitions all day, but the Joburg mayorship was really out of your hands, voted out of position. But to step down as councillor, that's up to you, of course. What was the moment where you thought, okay, that's it, it's now or never? What led to that?
So it's a number of things. Let me start on a personal level. The sacrifice of leaving a lucrative business, going into politics, has affected me personally. It has affected my family, my children. Over the years, we've all sacrificed, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. I remember with the illegal ousting, I was accused of missing the salary, and I realized a lot of people don't actually realize that as a medical doctor, you can actually have a very lucrative business, which I gave up. Serve my country. So partly it's to recover from the years that I've been in politics and just to settle the family, focus on the family a bit. But what pushed me out really was the deprofessionalization of the space, the influx of the unskilled and the unschooled, the rampant corruption, the looting with absolute impunity, and just the fragmentation within the coalition opposition bloc, which does not give hope that, we will see an end to what is happening anytime soon. I realize that as a resource, I'm being wasted in council, and I worry about myself as a professional. I need to preserve preserve the professional in me, and I will do so by moving into a space that can remind me of what it means to be a professional. Council is not that place.
You and John Steenhuisen still friends?
I was never friends with John Steenhuisen. He's leader of the Democratic Alliance, but we were never friends, no.
So how does this look now if you were to stay in the DA? What do you see as an active role? I don't mean coming back up as a councillor, but there's elections next year. What would your involvement be?
Well, firstly, I didn't put myself up for any Member of Parliament or MPL positions. That process is closed. I was going to apply, but with much thought, I decided not to, simply because of the current political environment. At a later stage, should things change, yes, I will definitely avail myself to serve.
Any other political parties talking to you, sending you some WhatsApp messages, adding you to WhatsApp groups? Come on, don't lie now.
That'll always happen, but I'm not going to discuss other people now.
So let's just talk about the people left behind in Joburg, if we can, as well, while you're off to go and save the lives medically of those that you can treat on a daily basis. Do you think you were ever really in with a shot of changing Joburg?
You know, it was worth a shot. I had 26%, if you recall. I was elected with 26% of the vote, where I needed 50% plus one to make a really meaningful impact. Now, we did attempt to rally other parties. At some point, we had 10 political parties in our coalition. It was never a stable coalition. We spent much of the time fighting for survival as opposed to focusing on service delivery. We still managed to get a lot done regardless, but I really lament the time wasted in these petty political battles. So, yeah, I mean, it's up to you how you want to look at it. I think had we exercised a bit of maturity, a bit of tolerance, and just being realistic as to where we are. There is no outright winner in the City of Johannesburg. The only way to govern in a stable government is through coalition, and we're going to have to learn to work together if we're serious about rebuilding the city.
How much of your day, Doctor, when you were the Joburg mayor, was spent just putting out coalition fires as opposed to actually getting to your job? Many supporters have come out and said you were never given a chance because you were being attacked from all angles. Sadly, some critics even suggesting from within your own party. We don't have to go there right now. But how much of your day was really spent being a mayor and the other part being a politician?
Far too much. There were all kinds of battles, Gareth, even from within the administration. You'll recall there were some battles against the then acting city manager, Floyd Brink. There's an ongoing battle now around his illegal appointment subsequently as city manager, as he is currently now in the city. So there were those internal battles, battles around the Group Forensic Investigation Services Unit and whether or not it's legitimate and it should continue to function. So there was a lot of lawyers' letters going back and forth and everything else but what we were supposed to be doing. And then, of course, you had the fights within the coalition itself. Our coalition was never stable. There were always complaints from some of the smaller parties, particularly, demanding more. And that's why we saw the horse trading that ensued and we saw the ultimate fragmentation and collapse of that coalition. And then, of course, the battles from the likes of the Soweto community and so on around Eskom electricity issues, which had really nothing to do with the city, but we were pulled into it, and it was all politics at play.
Just speaking of politics at play, just one last on the politics side, Doctor, for a second. So the current Joburg mayor, Kabela Gwamande, a motion of no confidence was meant to be this week. That was dropped by Action SA. There's another motion potentially later this year. You've been down this road. You've woken up as the mayor of Joburg knowing a lot of people want to get you out. How does Gwamande handle this now? How would you tell him to triage this? There you go. I was trying to get the word triage in somewhere to a medical doctor. How does he do this, or is it really out of his hands?
Well, what I did, and that's the advice I can give from my own experience, is that don't focus on the motion of no confidence. Try and get a little bit more done. And if you recall, the day I was ousted, that morning I had a press briefing where I announced City Power's plan to offset load shedding in Johannesburg that could be rolled out within 6 months. That was literally the morning of my ousting. I knew the monk would be tabled that day, but I continued to work and I continued to focus on the work. I continued to be hopeful. You have to do that. Otherwise, you will never be able to get anything done. If you focus on your ousting all the time. But at the same time, you need to manage your own expectations and know that it can happen. Should it happen, it should not be the worst thing in the world. You just hold your head up high and pull on your resilience and keep going.
Well, talking about pulling on resilience, let's leave politics for now. As I say goodbye to you, Doctor, let's pull on the doctor's coat for a second. I'm sure many people are wondering, going back into the medical field now, where is Dr. Phalatse's practice going to be? Are you Joburg-based? But I know you were obviously City of Joburg mayor, but are you going to be Joburg-based? Where are you going to be?
So different places. As I've said earlier, that I've done a lot of things in the medical field. It's been quite a process actually getting back into it administratively. I've been busy with the Health Professions Council, the Board of Healthcare Funders and so on. Those processes have now been concluded. I've not been practicing medicine, so I'm mindful of that. I don't want to kill patients, so I'm going to work firstly with other doctors. I will be working immediately with a neurosurgeon in the Rustenburg area, later on with a vascular surgeon in the Boksburg area. There will be other opportunities closer to Johannesburg as time goes on, but that's what's on the table at the moment. Very exciting time.
Sure it is, and I think all the best to you on the career as far as medicine is concerned. Battered and bruised, I'm sure, was the last couple of years, but off to make a difference in people's lives on a daily basis. Dr. Mpho Phalatse, all the best, and thanks for joining us this morning. So yes, of course, there was politics we had to talk about, but it is also about walking away from that. My thanks to the former Joburg mayor, the former Joburg councillor, still a DA member. I think that was very clear. We had to make sure we understood that. Dr. Mpho Phalatse joining us.